It is mid-season in football leagues across Africa after the competitions were aligned with the international FIFA calendar in what was meant to bring expansion and commercial growth. However, a good number are now struggling, and on Sports Scene tonight, we take a trip around the continent to bring you an update on the state of Africa's domestic leagues. Hello and a very warm welcome to your weekly sports program here on CGTN. This is Sports Scene. I'm Mahia Mutua in Nairobi. Welcome to the show. Let's check out what else is coming up tonight. Major winner Oosthuizen eyeing a second South Africa Open golf title. And AIU suspends former marathon record holder Wilson Kipsang in new doping nightmare for Kenya. Welcome to the program now. The Kenyan Premier League is going through its toughest period yet, just halfway through the current campaign after the title sponsors pulled the plug at the start of the 2019-2020 season. In this report, CGTN's Mohamed Abubakar looks at the rapid decline of a competition once considered among the fastest growing leagues in Africa.
The Kenyan Premier League has experienced a torrid time in the 2019-2020 season. Sony Sugar Football Club, the two-time title winners, were relegated from the competition in November for failing to honour 3 matches. Apart from newcomers Wazito FC, who are bankrolled by foreign money, most KPL clubs are feeling the pinch, with coaches, players and other technical staff quitting in search of greener pastures. Speaking to CGTN earlier in the season, KPL Chief Executive Officer Jaco Guda had warned clubs in advance to find other sources of revenue to sustain themselves after the title sponsors took flight last July.
The league sells the broadcast rights and the naming rights. From that money, we do give clubs grants monthly. However, clubs also need to look for other sponsors to be able to meet all the other costs like salaries, accommodation to matches. So when that doesn't happen, then you cannot blame the league because the club has not done their role to meet the obligations.
The rain has been beating the KPL since it expanded from 16 to 18 teams at the start of the 2017 season after losing a lucrative broadcast deal with South Africa pay TV channel SuperSport, with local media awash with negative headlines. It is clear that midway through the season, things have gone from bad to worse, leaving the football fraternity uncertain of the league's future prospects.
I don't know whether it's a storm that is going to last a short time or a long time, but basically it's a tough one, and it goes to the parties involved. And who are the parties? Because the current situation we are having, it means that clubs are suffering, and under the umbrella of the clubs we have the officials, the players. We have also the fans who are suffering because they have nothing to enjoy.
Kenya, napata hapo kuna changamoto.
It's reached a point now here in Kenya where it doesn't matter anymore. Whether a game is on a weekday or on a Saturday, fans just don't show up. And we all know the role of fans. We don't just contribute to the atmosphere in the stadium. We are also a revenue stream for the clubs. But above all, the fans always motivate the players.
Cameroon is set to host the 6th edition of the African Nations Championship this year, a competition that was introduced by the Confederation of African Football to exclusively feature locally based players. Kenya is yet to qualify for this tournament, and should the Kenya Premier League fail to provide a conducive environment for these players, the wait might just be longer.
If the quality of our league becomes poor, how do we expect our local players to progress in their development? At the moment, the Kenyan Premier League is not watched outside Kenya, meaning our footballers are not even getting enough visibility. So when you have a bad league, also expect the national team to be poor.
CGTN understands there could be light at the end of the tunnel for the struggling competition, with a new title partner set to be announced in the coming days. However, similar reports in the past have not brought substance. Mohamed Abubakar, CGTN.
Over to North Africa, the Tunisia Premier League is ranked as one of the oldest and most competitive in Africa, with many of its clubs winning scores of continental titles. Lately, however, fixture postponements and poor match attendances are choking the league. CGTN's Adnan Shawashi now reports.
Tunisia held on to the 27th spot worldwide and second in Africa in the 2019 FIFA World Ranking. The national team finished the year second in Africa, behind Senegal and ahead of Nigeria and Algeria.
The results are satisfactory. Now the Football Federation needs more support from the state to improve infrastructure, build and harmonize stadiums to improve the performance of the Premier League.
Espérance Sportive de Tunis have been one of the most successful clubs in Tunisia and Africa. The club won the 2019 CAF Champions League title, its fourth in the club history, and represented Tunisia in the FIFA Club World Cup in Qatar. EST head coach Moin Shabani noted that the quality of grass in football pitches is very bad for a professional league.
The main handicap is the status of pitches. They often cause injuries. Consequently, stadiums are always closed for renovation, and many teams do not have a permanent stadium.
The managerial and financial problems facing some clubs affect the Premier League. Any strong team needs strong adversaries to remain competitive.
The current status of associations forbids any business activity for Tunisian clubs. Walid Jalad is an MP and the president of Suleiman Football Club. He's among many parliamentarians who have been pushing for changing legislation.
The managerial and financial problems facing some clubs affect the Premier League. Any strong team needs strong adversaries to remain competitive.
The recent arrest of the president of Bizerte Football Club for bounce checks has caused unrest in the north of the country. Football fans, managers and professionals are calling on all stakeholders to adopt new ways of financing football clubs in Tunisia. Football analysts assert that football matches in the Premier League are usually played without fans. The Interior Ministry, the Ministry of Sports and the Tunisian Football Federation have often cited security reasons. However, millions of fans hope that the situation will improve this season. Aden Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Let's cross over to the land of the Pharaohs, where big changes are expected in Egyptian football. Following months of tragedy in the local league, the country's federation has decided to introduce VAR in the second round of the Premier League, in addition to partial lifting of a stadium ban on fans. CGTN's Adel El Mahroui has more on the transformational story in Egypt.
The Egyptian Premier League is seeing great leaps this season. 6 different clubs are participating in international competitions. That is quite rare.
6 teams from the Egyptian Premier League. That's 1/3 of the teams. It puts a lot of pressure on the players and usually leads to injuries. Still, this is one of the best seasons we've seen in years. Al Ahly is way ahead. And putting that aside, the points gap is very close between the rest of the teams, and we can't tell who'll come in second and third.
Al Ahly is leading the scoreboard with a 4 points difference from the Arab contractors, despite that the Red Devils have played 2 matches less. Fans, however, are not so pleased with that gap. They also wish to see more changes coming to their top domestic competition.
There is a lack of competition between the clubs. Fans' absence is a great obstacle. It's negatively affecting the players on the pitch. I'm personally upset with that.
The league last year was more competitive. Until the last weeks, we couldn't tell who's going to win. Pyramids was tough. This year, I think Al Ahly is already way in the lead. Referees' mistakes are also very common.
Starting from round 2, the EFA says it will finally introduce video assisting referee to the Premier League, to be the second country in Africa after Morocco. Analysts, though, don't think VAR will completely eliminate the refereeing problems fans are complaining from.
I think VAR will solve about 70% of the refereeing problems that the Egyptian league faces, but it will not resolve all the issues. It's a new technology, and we've seen it could fail during the match. That could lead to catastrophes, but definitely it'll provide a better refereeing system.
The greatest news for football lovers here is the return of fans. Only 3,500 will be allowed to stadiums. It's not much, still, it's better than nothing.
These significant changes have been scheduled to begin in the second round of the Egyptian Premier League. It was scheduled to begin next month. However, repeated delays have forced the first round to end on February 19, pushing the second round and thus these long-awaited 4 changes to begin around March 1st. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Well, in sharp contrast, the Premier Soccer League in South Africa has been experiencing year-on-year growth and remains a model competition for the continent to follow. Here is CGTN's CS du Plessis with more.
In the space of 30 years, South Africa's Premier Soccer League has become the benchmark for the rest of the African continent, not just in the quality of the matches or the way the league is run or the ever-expanding global fan base, but also in that it is attracting players from all over the world who want to play for the likes of Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns.
We've become a league that is now home to over 30 nationalities from the African continent, from South America, from Europe, who come and play in our league. This is a clear indication that we've managed to build not necessarily a South African league, but an African story of success.
The Premier Soccer League has had its fair share of ups and downs over the years, from tragedies to match-fixing scandals to financial troubles. But that appears to be a thing of the past. For the last 8 years, they've posted a profit and are going from strength to strength with every season.
We don't necessarily want it to be the only great league in Africa. We want the Zimbabwe Premier League, the Kenyan Premier League, the Tanzania Premier League, the Uganda Premier League, Cameroon. We want the Egyptians, because if we are stronger together, it's better for us. We are able to extract more commercial value. We are able to build African football.
Another feather in the cap of the PSL is the revenue it generates through sponsorships and television rights. That money filters down into the clubs and is used to maintain the financial stability and competition in the transfer market.
They are making money through the TV rights, the way they've commercialized, sponsorships. They've got very, very good sponsors. We've got 3 lively cup competitions which bring in a lot of money. We've got, now the first division has got a sponsorship also, which did not have for many, many years. All those things comes with money. It is a well-run, well machine, and it is something that as South Africans we should be proud of.
Despite the past and present obstacles, the PSL continues to find ways to take football in the Rainbow Nation to the next level. It somehow has managed to stave off the competition for attention from European leagues for viewers who remain loyal to their respective South African clubs and to the Premier Soccer League. CS du Plessis, CGTN, Johannesburg.
Right now, for more on this topic, we are joined in studio by Jeff Kinyanjui, who is a seasoned football journalist with Kenya's Daily Nation here. Jeff, welcome to the program. I'll just begin by asking you, what exactly went wrong, in your opinion, with the once promising Kenya Premier League, and is there hope maybe in the future to rectify this?
Well, it's a culmination of bad decision by the top managers who manage the Kenyan game. Well, hope. There is always hope, but it will take time before the game is back to where it was. We'll probably cut down on the number of teams in the league, because as it is right now we have 18 teams, and I think that's a really bloated league which does not have the resources that it used to have. So one of the drastic measures that KPL has to take, or probably even the FKF, because they're about to take the top league, is cut down on the number of teams, probably to even 12 or 14. Yeah, that means now we'll have a league with resources that each team can manage, and probably even cut down on the number of foreign players and refugee players in the league. That means we'll only have quality players joining the league, because as it is right now, we have very many foreigners who add no value to the league.
Okay, and we heard just shortly that Egypt is one of the countries, the second in Africa, following Morocco, to introduce the video assistant referee. It is obviously a controversial decision. Is this good for African football going forward?
VAR is a very expensive affair. We actually even saw in AFCON, I think in June, they did not use it in every match. It's around $13,000 to operate it per game. That is something that, for instance, in the Kenyan league, we cannot afford. The winner of the league in Kenya earns around 4 million. That is around $14,000. And over the past 2 seasons, the winners have not been paid. So that is only possible in North African leagues and probably in the PSL. Well, it's good, definitely, to be at par with the European leagues, but at the moment it's not really what we need in the African game. Yep.
And finally, you did mention the PSL there. It does stand out as the standard for the continent in recent years. the problem does seem to be for South African teams on the continental side of things. Why exactly have they struggled when it comes to continental competitions like the CAF Champions League and the Confederations Cup?
I think previously Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi used to do well, but I think the PSL have got the finances part going on very well for them. They're, like you mentioned, they're making profits year in, year out. They've got the publicity working for them. The marketing is going on very well. They have top managers managing the game. But now when it comes to the quality on the pitch, I don't think they have really good quality local players. And as well, just like in Kenya, the foreign players that are going on are getting signed in the league and not really quality. So probably they need also to cut down on the foreign quota and only have very good foreign players joining the league, and also work on having quality players from their local leagues.
All right, indeed. Thank you very much for that, Jeff. Jeff Kinyanjui, football journalist with the Daily Nation here in Kenya, talking to us about football leagues across the continent. Well, it's time for us to take a short break here on Sports Scene. Here's what's coming up. Major winner Louis Oosthuizen eyeing the South Africa Open golf title.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Welcome back. Over to golf now, where Louis Oosthuizen is back in South Africa for the country's national championship at the Rand Park Golf Club in Johannesburg. The major's winner is also the tournament ambassador and is aiming to begin the year with the title he won last year, while also focusing on giving back to the game that has made him a sporting star. CGT and CS du Plessis with more.
Louis Oosthuizen is one of the top golfers in the world, meaning that the 2010 Open Championship winner is very much in demand, playing all over the globe, and for the second year in a row, the world number 20 has decided to start the year on home soil at the SA Open, where he's been impressed with the standard of golf in the country and the talent coming through.
I think golf in South Africa is strong and you know, ready to go to the next level. I know one or two of my boys that's was the foundation is looking forward to starting a career in golf in the near future, and you know, we'll help there wherever we can, and just it's just good to see golf really in a good spot in SA.
The 37-year-old says it is difficult for young aspiring golfers to find the right place to play, as it is often very expensive and time-consuming for their parents. But he feels there's great development work being done and that the sport is benefiting as a result.
I think these days, you know, the kids need to find a good spot to go and do it, and a lot of times both parents are working, they need to get them to the golf course, so it's not just a thing you can do at school, you need to go and find the right place to go and do it, and I think it gets difficult in that sense, and you know, luckily we do have foundations and academies and things like that help to try and grow the game.
In 2016, Oosthuizen decided against playing in the inaugural golf event at the Olympics in Rio. But now the defending South African Open champion is eager to be a part of the team representing the Rainbow Nation in Tokyo this year, an attempt to bring back the country's first ever golfing gold.
If I'll get picked, I will be going. It is going to be a difficult one with scheduling wise. It's right in between the Open and FedEx, but I think this is one that I want to go and you know, so I played in the Olympics.
Golf remains an elite sport in South Africa, but thanks to the work done by professionals like Oosthuizen with his foundation, more and more young children are picking up golf clubs and taking a swing, with an eye to one day follow in the footsteps of their heroes and win one of golf's majors. CS du Plessis, CGTN, Johannesburg.
Now, the star of Kenya rally driver Karan Patel has been on the rise since his days in motocross. Patel is among the local aces, eagerly awaiting the signature Safari Rally to return to the World Rally Championship later this year. CGTN's Mohammed Abubakar now reports.
Speed has been a thrill for 28-year-old Kenyan rally driver Karan Patel, who started his journey into motorsports on two wheels.
Before that, I used to do dirt bike racing. I was actually the champion of East Africa in 2005 or 2008. I used to be very involved in motorsports. I love speed, I love the thrill of, and I mean, not the thrill, the adrenaline you get, the rush you get from just, you know, this risky kind of motorsports.
Patel's journey into rallying, however, had to see him finish school and get a job before he got in between the roll cage.
From 2014, that's when I moved back to Kenya permanently to live my life here now and settle down. And then now we started rallying. Slowly we went from the Subaru to the Evo 10, and now we're at just one under a WRC car. Half the price of a WRC car, but 90% of the power. So there's no getting better than this now.
The 28-year-old is the only Kenyan who has taken part in a WRC event since the Safari Rally was withdrawn from the WRC calendar 18 years ago. Now, with the return of the event, Patel is optimistic of the good fortunes it will bring to the country.
Obviously, the Kenyans will want a Kenyan to win. There's no Kenyan who drives a world rally car. So, for starters, the chance of a Kenyan winning the rally is slim, but it's not impossible. Number two, most of us don't have the R5 cars, and you need an R5 car to be able to have a chance to win also in the WRC2 category. So let's see. I mean, we have it for 3 years. We have to see where the games go, where the people want to invest their money.
Safari Rally's return to the African continent has been welcomed heavily, with African rally drivers such as Patel hoping that this will be the trigger to bring back fans and sponsors back into the sport. Mohammed Abubakar, CGTN.
The stunning news of the provisional suspension of Kenya's former world marathon record holder Wilson Kipsang for anti-doping rules violations has left a sour taste in the distance running powerhouse and athletics fraternity at large. The Athletics Integrity Unit said on its Twitter account on Friday that Kipsang, the 2012 Olympics bronze medalist and winner of multiple marathon majors, has been suspended for whereabouts failures and tampering with samples. On the other hand, his management, Volar Sports, has emphasized in a statement that the AIU charge against Kipsang was not a case for usage of doping. The 37-year-old Kipsang is a two-time winner of the London Marathon and has a personal best of 2 hours, 3 minutes, 13 seconds, making him the equal 6th fastest man in history. Right now, for more on this story, CGTN's Sadiq Shaban joins us live from the City of Champions Eldoret to shed more light on this latest doping bombshell in Kenya. Sadiq, what is the reaction from the seat of distance running to the stunning news of Wilson Kipsang?
Mahia, we have just made contact with Wilson Kipsang just a few minutes ago, and he has told us that he's unwell. He was recently involved in an accident that had left him in the hospital for the last 4 days. He just told us that he was discharged from the hospital late last evening, coincidentally at the time that the news filtered in of his anti-doping rule violation charge by the Athletics Integrity Unit. And he says he's not in a position to speak or to react to these charges, as notices of allegations have been issued against him. But nevertheless, people here in Eldoret and parts of Iten, where he hails from, are speaking in muted tones, if you will, about these reports. They are shocked, they are flabbergasted, and they didn't expect this from Kipsang, who is a former world marathon champion. He's won Tokyo Marathon in 2017, London Marathon twice, and also, as you mentioned, from 2012, he won a bronze medal. So he is a big shot, he is a big name here. And just 3 weeks ago, when the Athletics Integrity Unit was in this place conducting anti-doping sensitization, Kipsang was in the forefront, speaking to athletes and also talking about the issue and the need to fight the vice in sport. So this has come as a big news, as a shock to many people, not just the people of Eldoret and Iten, but also to the Kenyan athletic scene as large, because Kipsang is one of the most prominent athletes in this country at the moment.
Now, obviously, it is a high-profile case. Does this now expose Kenya to the possibility of an Olympics ban later this summer?
Mahia, I don't think so. That would be a long shot, because as we've heard repeatedly from Athletics Integrity Unit and World Anti-Doping Agency, they contend that doping in this country is not systemic. It's not state-sponsored like Russia. It's opportunistic, they say. And the cases of anti-doping rule violations and sanctions that have been issued against Kenyan athletes have been on merit, and there is no evidence that the state is sponsoring these transgressions against Kenyan athletes. So we know from the previous practice going into the last Olympic Games in Rio, Kenyan athletes will be required to be tested at least 3 times before they head to the Olympics. And we've been speaking to the CEO of the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, and he's vowed that the team that will be taken to Rio, the team that will be taken to Tokyo will be clean, and they will make sure that each and every athlete selected will have to meet not just the threshold set by the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, but also by the World Anti-Doping Agency. So it's unlikely that the case of Wilson Kipsang will spur a blanket ban of Kenya by either WADA or the IOC.
And finally, Sadiq, are the rising cases of sanctions against Kenyan athletes an indication of a doping scourge, or is it as a result of a more robust anti-doping effort?
My opinion is greatly divided about that. There are those who contend that the recent cases and really the frequency with which now the Athletics Integrity Unit is churning out news about infractions and transgressions by Kenyan athletes is a reflection of the scourge that has existed and within the Kenyan athletics for a long time. There's a school of thought that the problem has been left for a long time, and what is happening now is a cleaning of the system, resulting in, if you will, the results that are coming out of positive sanctions and results. But there are those who also say that the kind of sensitization, the kind of outreach that is being done by Athletics Kenya, by the government of Kenya, and also by the IAU, who have been here severally, is now producing results. But again, it remains to be seen whether the critics of the system that have been put in place will be satisfied by the results that are coming out. Not just about those who are getting caught, but also the majority who are running clean and not having any issue about their results or their athletes' biological passports or anything to do with anti-doping rule violations. So the opinion is really divided about that, Maya, and the jury is out there.
All right, Sadiq, thank you very much for your insights there. CGTN Sadiq Shaban joining us live from Eldoret. Well, that's it for this edition of Sports Scene. Remember, you can send your feedback to the show. The contacts are on your screen now. And don't forget to give us a follow on our digital media platforms. I'm Mahia Mutua. Thanks for watching.